Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Funkin' Friends. Tonight, I am excited to welcome my friend Katrina, who should be joining me in just a second. She's the author of One Hug and Grandpa Grumps. One Hug, I gave my copy to my niece, and so I don't have it handy. But let's see, is there a way for me to invite a friend? No, I can only invite people who are watching. Okay, cool. So Katrina should be joining me in a minute. And yeah, so she is an author, and she is also a teacher. She's really great at giving feedback on manuscripts. I met Katrina a few years ago when she lived in the Boston area, and she came to an organization that I visit a lot called the Writer's Loft, and she came and we had a critique group, and yeah, so she ended up coming to the critique group, and we swapped manuscripts, and we've been friends ever since. She actually only lived in the Boston area for about a year. But after that year, she moved a couple places, but we'll get into that. I'm gonna message her right now and see if I can find her. So, do. Oh, hey there, Courtney. All right, we're just waiting for Katrina Moore to join the chat. And let's see. Ah, there she is. Okay. So, all right, Katrina, to the conversation. Welcome. And there she is. Hey, what's up, Katrina? How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I was just telling everyone about how we met. You had come to the Writer's Loft and when you lived in the Boston area for a year. But you've been all over the place, haven't you? You're where are you now?
I am in South Jersey now. Yeah, when we met, that was our first move. We were moving from Maryland, and then we were in Massachusetts for a year, and then we went to upstate New York for a year, and we've been in New Jersey since then, and we're hoping to settle here, so hopefully no more moves.
Cool. So when you say South Jersey, you're basically in Philly, though, right?
Right. I'm like 30 minutes outside of Philly.
Okay.
It's a really great location though, because I'm really like, we're just an hour to New York City as well, and then about like an hour and a half to Baltimore. So so we're pretty close to everywhere we need to be.
All right. Awesome. So I was showing Grandpa Grumps earlier,
Yeah.
which I love this book. This is great, and I've recommended it a few times lately. Especially, it's about a grandpa who comes over from China and doesn't speak much English, and he just kind of grunts a lot. But it's a great one for right around now. I feel like when we haven't seen a lot of our relatives in a while. So if you're missing a grandparent, Grandpa Grumps is a great book to share with your kids, or maybe read over a Zoom or something with grandparents. I think it's an excellent book for that. What tell me a little bit about how Grandpa Grumps came to be, and yeah, tell me about it.
Well, I first wrote the story because I was thinking about really memorable moments from my childhood, as a lot of our picture books start out, right? And I was thinking about my grandpa and how I loved him. I loved him so much, but we really didn't talk that much. And that was really interesting to me, that like we could have such a strong relationship even though we like barely exchanged any words. And so I started to think about like why that was. And that's how the seed of the story started. And my very first draft of the story, I want to say maybe it was in like 2014, and it started out really differently. It was like I wrote it as myself and my grandpa, and it was more of like a story set in school, and it was, my agent at the time, she really loved it. She sent it out and we got really good feedback from editors, you know, saying they can see the heart of the story, but something wasn't quite working in it. And so eventually I put that in the drawer and I just said, you know, I'll come back to this another time, but I couldn't see a way to do it differently. And then fast forward a couple of years, and I think it was in 2018, like maybe in November of 2018, and I was working on another manuscript and I was like really stuck on that, and I just needed to look at something completely different. So I went into my files of, like, you know, works that I set aside, and I found this, and at the time it was called like Yaya's Fried Rice, and I was like, you know what, like, I think I know how to do this now. And I wrote it as with Daisy and her grandpa. And that's, you know, it sold pretty quickly. And then we had very little edits once it was actually sold. So it's funny how that happens sometimes, you know, like the story came together pretty quickly, but really it was over a couple of years. And I was, you know, doing some writing without writing for that one.
That's interesting. I've never had a book where I put it aside and then came back to it years later, and it was, at least I've never even really tried though. Like that's yeah. a great idea of some. Maybe I should look back at some of the stories and with fresh eyes that I've had in the past. I feel like there are times when I've done that, and every time I open up the old one, and I'm like, I still like this. I don't know what to change, and then I can't figure it out. So I don't know. Maybe that's just but I totally see what you're saying. The more experience you have, the more writing you do, the better writer you're going to be. So just because the story didn't work one time, you know, you're a better writer now. It might have still been a good idea, but you figure out a way to do it. That's really cool. So you are also a teacher. What grade do you teach?
I teach second grade.
So how are you feeling right now? I don't want to get too, you can pass on these questions if you want.
Momentarily, I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. Okay. I feel like a moment of relief. It was really, really tough. Switching very abruptly to remote learning. Yeah. It was a huge learning curve for everybody. And I think everyone was just trying their best to deliver the best learning that they could, but also to be as compassionate and empathetic to everybody's situations. So that was hard. And I've never been more ready for a school year to be over, even though this was maybe like one of my favorite years. And I had such a great group, and I love where I teach, but it was so tough. I have 2 young kids at home too, and so it was just a lot going on. And so as I think about the fall, there are so many factors to think about, and I have a ton of questions and concerns, but not a lot of solutions. So
yeah. I don't really either. I feel bad even asking you about it, but I mean, you know, everyone's talking about it on social media and politics and everything. And it's, I mean, my opinion is that we have to keep people safe, even if we're overly cautious, but yeah, I mean, I'm not in charge of things. So, but yeah, how was online learning as a teacher? How did it go in the spring? Do you have any thoughts looking back on it for the first time, or have you just put it out of your head right now and you're not kind of?
After school let out, there was a week I completely, like, I almost threw my computer out the window and it just like was completely screen free. But I think everyone was trying to be really hopeful. And so I think of it almost in like phases. So like the first month of it, so like March to April, we were kind of still all crossing our fingers thinking like, just maybe like we're going to go back. And so I think it was kind of a scramble to get everything together, to get, you know, everybody up and learning. I mean, there were, in our grade alone, my class was the only one that was already sort of online because I was piloting a program. But for all the other families, we were getting them onto Google Classroom for the first time, and then you know, switching over to all of this. So it was just such a huge learning curve, and it was very much just survival mode. And then we started to, you know, as families started to get more comfortable and teachers started to get more comfortable, we tried to, you know, just adapt and make it work. And I think, you know, my motto was really just do your best. And I would say that to the families of the students that I teach, because a lot of them were completing their work, you know, after hours because their parents were working at home. And I understood that. Like, I wasn't able to help my daughter with her kindergarten until after my school day was done. And she was tired and she didn't want to learn at that time. And so, you know, everyone was going through a lot. So we definitely learned a lot, though. So I do think that if we, you know, if we're online in the fall, which likely I believe in some capacity we will be, I think it'll be better because we're more prepared for it.
Yeah, I think so too. I did virtual visits with some classrooms over time throughout the year, and even into the summer a little bit, some camps and things. And I feel like I've noticed the younger kids become much more familiar with like taking themselves off mute, putting them on mute. Like they are, like they know how to do it way better than a kid that age should be able to. At least that's but it took a while to get there. there. But yeah, I think it'll be better this fall. I think that the kids have some experience and they might be prepared for it a little more. It's still hard to learn and teach, but all right. So you have 2 picture books that are out, right?
Yes.
I see them behind you. One Hug and Grandpa Grumps we were talking about. Yeah. But you have recently you announced. Well, there's a couple things. Recently you announced this Sometimes Love, which it was a preempt. Do you want to explain what that is?
Yes. So, and I learned all of these things too as I went through them. A preempt is when a publisher wants to give you an offer, but they don't want it to end up in an auction. So an auction would be multiple publishers putting in an offer and then competing against each other. So if a publisher, you know, they might foresee that it's going to go to auction, and so they give you a really shiny offer in hopes that you'll take it, and that way you then withdraw your submission from the other publishers. So that's what a preempt is.
All right, cool. So congrats. So it's kind of like an auction, but maybe even better. So
this one was interesting because it was, so not only was it a preempt, but it was a house offer preempt, which I didn't know what that was, but my agent, Andrea Morrison, is fantastic and walked me through all of it. And so I guess some houses like Penguin, they don't allow their imprints to bid against each other. And so if your work has been submitted to multiple imprints within the house and there's multiple interest, then they come together and they give you a house offer. So no matter which imprint you choose, the offer remains the same, and then you then get to choose which imprint would be the best fit.
That's cool. You got to choose which one. So what imprint is it going with?
With Dial.
Dial. Okay, excellent. So, but can you tell me a little bit about the book, though? What is Sometimes Love? So
Sometimes Love, it's an exploration.
I'll pretend that I didn't actually read a manuscript that you sent me in advance. So, but I critiqued it like months and months and months ago, but maybe a year.
Yeah. So this one, and I want to say, it's not too different. It's not too different from when you saw it.
Okay.
But Sometimes Love is an exploration of love, starting from, you know, how it grows and then how it changes, and then specifically how it's shaped by time and distance. So it's through the lens of a little girl in a military family and her beloved dog. And she, you'll have to read the book to see, but she loves this dog.
I think I remember that part.
Yeah. And then, you know, she has to learn to let go at some point. And so it's, I wrote it, at first I needed to write it. You know, as I mentioned, I moved a lot. And so that very first move when we moved from Maryland to Massachusetts, we had 2 dogs. We still have our little one, Riley, but it was a very sudden move. And so we were moving into a house that we were renting. And the house that we were renting didn't allow dogs. Riley, we don't really count him as a dog. He's hyperallergenic, and he's like 15 pounds of fluff, so nobody ever minds him. I can like carry him in my purse, but big dogs weren't allowed, so that was a really big concern. And then also our dog Stella was a big German Shepherd, and she had a lot of anxiety, and so change was really hard for her in general, like even every time I would leave the house or come back. And so we made the really tough choice to give her to another family who could love her the way she needed to be loved. They had a huge farm, and you know, it was really heartbreaking. I mean, I still feel like I have like a hole in my heart where she is, but it was the best way we could love her at the time. And so I remember it, and all of this happened, like we found out we were moving, and then we moved 3 weeks later. And so all of that happened really fast. And I just remember after we gave her away, I came home, I couldn't talk, I couldn't cry, I couldn't do anything. And I just like picked up my pencil and I started writing. And I wrote, again, it looked very different than how sometimes love looks now, but it was really just me kind of pouring my heart out, and, you know, and dealing with my feelings. And then I didn't really intend to do anything with it. It was really just, I needed to write it. And then I don't know why, when did I pull it out again? We maybe had just moved here. I don't know, probably. I mean, we moved so much, but I think that was in 2015. And then I didn't look at that again, or even really think about that specific story again until maybe it was in like the spring of 2019. And I started writing a story and explored love. And then as I was writing it, I kept envisioning that original story and that experience that I had in my mind. And then it kind of just meshed together. So I took like, again, I guess I took like the core of that story and what I wrote, like the heart of it, and then just recrafted it into something.
You seem to do that a lot, huh?
I guess so. Yeah.
All these so whatever ideas you're having now, you're probably going to polish them off in 4 years, and we'll see them in 6 years in book form.
I guess so.
You also have some chapter books coming out. Oh wait, before I say it, Sometimes Love, does it have an illustrator?
Yes, Joy Longrow, and she's amazing. So her first book is coming out. It's also with Dial, and it's coming out in August. It's written by Deborah Underwood. It's called Every Little Letter. And I've just seen like a preview of it, but it looks amazing. But she's phenomenal, and we're so excited for her to bring it to life. She has so much emotion in everything that she does, so she was really perfect for this.
I think Deborah Underwood's gonna join me in next month, so we'll
talk
about that.
So maybe she'll talk about her book.
So you also have a couple other books that you've been working on. Have they been announced? I forget sometimes.
The chapter books have been announced. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. So the chapter
tell me about them.
They're with HarperCollins. It's Teeny Houdini, and it's about a little girl, Bessie Lee, and she wants to be magical, just like Harry Houdini. And so she learns in book 1, she learns all about who he is, and she decides, since she's the teeniest in her family and the teeniest in her first grade class, a way for her to make herself really shine is to become this wonderful magician. And so each book kind of has one really big magic trick that helps her solve a problem that she ends up causing all sorts of mayhem. And she just has a really fun cast of characters in her class and in her family. So that's been a lot of fun.
When you're writing these, like, are they all like 10 chapters and they have illustrations, and are they black and white? Like, I don't know, the chapter book form.
Yeah,
So
so there's different kinds. So this one, so for Teeny Houdini, they're gonna be black and white illustrations. They're publishing in hardcover and paperback at the same time. So it'll have a hardcover color cover, and then black and white illustrations throughout. And I think we're landing at about an illustration like every like page or so. And that illustrator is Zoe C. And the illustrate I've just got like a little sneak peek of the initial character sketches, and I laughed out loud, and I like also started crying just because they were so stinking cute. And she's hilarious. I don't know if she
that's
has
one of the best things
has,
about writing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is seeing the illustrations the first time. So
Oh my
that's one of my
gosh,
favorites.
she just elevates the humor to like a whole nother level. I'm so excited
Right.
to see it.
Okay, so you live in Philly or near Philly. What's your favorite Philly food? Yeah.
Food. Cheesesteak.
You like the cheesesteaks? Like
I
an
do like
actual cheese? I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've only
I
had them
can't
years
eat.
ago.
Okay. I like it with like the cheese whiz. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Isn't that the normal way to do it? Isn't that how you're supposed to do it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I just had it
Okay.
at what is it? Gino's. It's like the
You
famous
tell me.
one.
Right, cool.
I'm learning. I'm still learning all of it. It's really hard to get out with young kids all the time.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think
true.
we went to like an Eagles game last year and the year before, but that's when we went into the city and had the cheesesteaks.
Gotcha.
We needed like the
When I visited Philly, there was a lot of great vegan places there actually.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good ones, and I think they all have vegan Philly cheesesteaks, but I didn't get that. I got something else. But
when I came to your book event at, what was it, Penn Books, I think.
Yeah, Penn Book Center.
And I think you were saying like you scouted a really yummy vegan place you were going to
Oh
afterwards.
yeah, a whole bunch of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a whole bunch of them planned to go to. So one thing you had posted recently, and you have a great resources for writers section on your website. And but one thing you posted about recently was tips and tricks to get out when you're stuck, which I think a lot of us feel stuck lately. Just it's a challenging time in general. So I was wondering if you could share a couple of those that you might have, some tips for those of us who feel stuck while we're writing.
Yeah. Well, so I think one I touched on is looking at something different. So like, I know, we all feel like really precious about our work. And sometimes something's not working in the moment, and then, we can give up on it, or we can just, sometimes we push and push and push something, and it's just not working now. And so I always like to, I want to feel excited about what I'm doing. And so I will I don't get rid of anything, but I keep folders. And so I have a folder of like, works that I've kind of just set aside, and I don't necessarily plan to come back to them, but I like knowing the option that I can come back to them. And so that's one thing, so that I can always come back and I feel like I didn't throw them away. Something else I like to do is I always like to be working on multiple projects at one time, so that when I do get stuck in the moment, I can turn to something else and feel like I'm being really productive still.
That's a good one, yeah.
So when I do that, though, I try to be really careful about working on things that are very different, so that they don't bleed into each other and then end up as like essentially the same project. So for instance, I might be drafting my chapter book, and I might be revising a picture book. Or if I'm working on two picture books at the time, one might be lyrical and in rhyme, and then the other one is humorous and in prose. And so that they're different enough that when I'm switching gears, I'm like turning on a different part of my brain too. And so, I'm kind of doing something fresh. Another thing I like to do is I always have like a notebook near me, and I like to take a lot of breaks and really just play. I will say my kids really help me with that, and being in the moment with them. But when I play on my own too, it might just be like drawing or doing something, and I don't intend to show it to anybody, and I'm just kind of exploring things. But I find that like I get so many ideas when I'm not actually writing and I'm not staring at a blank paper or a blank screen. And so like doing really mundane things that I hate doing, like laundry or something. I like to play a game with myself, and I'll only do laundry if I'm like trying to work out something. Like I'm stuck and I don't know how to solve the character's problem. Like, all right, maybe I'll start folding some clothes, and I work it out when I'm doing that. So that, again, I think
it's like a reverse reward of something. Like,
I think so.
Once I write, you know, a chapter, then you have some chocolate or something, but it's the other way around. It's like,
yeah,
once I'm done with my chocolate and I have nothing better to do, then I'll write. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work that way.
Too, for me.
Anyway, thank you for.
Too. Oh no, I was just gonna say that I think also because I teach full time, and then I have my kids when I come home, and I try to give them like my best time, that my writing time is actually so limited. So I have to like really other things. So like when I'm doing the dishes, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do the dishes because I'm also writing right now. I'm like thinking about like that perfect word that like, you know, rhymes in that verse that like I can't get right now. So I'm just
you're making you're making the most use of like your chore time. Okay, that's good. That's good. I like it. Okay, so I have my hat of random questions. So I'm going to ask you 5 random questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Twix or Snickers?
Snickers.
Snickers. Okay, why Snickers? You like the nougat and not the cookie, or? You
know, there's something about like the texture of the Twix that like it really bothers me when I can't like chomp into it without cringing. I do like the taste of the Twix, but I don't know. I have a weird thing with that.
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean. Like it breaks, but it's still gooey with the caramel.
Yes.
And it's something. Yeah.
Or like a Snickers totally is like a crunch.
Okay. Oh, this is a good one. What is your favorite independent bookstore?
Oh, children's.
If you can't say one, then you can. Oh, okay.
Children's bookstore.
Good answer. I love a children's bookstore. I got to visit it because we actually were almost going to move to Philly one time, but we didn't. Mm-hmm. But it was going to be somewhere out near the children's bookstore near Haverford. And yeah, that place is awesome. I love it.
Oh, I have to cheat though. I also have another one that I've like semi-recently discovered. It's the Red Balloon, and I believe they're in Minnesota, but
yeah, they're in St. Paul. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been there too. I've been there.
You've been there? I haven't been there.
Just to visit, just to shop. Yeah. But yeah,
they're
I was
so
at a
cute.
And, yeah, they're really nice. Yeah.
But how do you know ordered. Them? Well, when like all of this started, I really wanted to stock up on some books, especially we had all this extra time, and then especially with all the stores closing, I wanted to specifically shop from independent bookstores. So I've been just like keeping a list of ones that like I want to check out if I travel or things like that. And Red Balloon was on my list. And so I ordered a book from them. And when I ordered a book from them, it came like all wrapped, and it had like a sticker, and like it was just like a really cute presentation. And then also when I had a family member who asked if she could buy Grandpa Grumps, but like she needed some place that would take phone orders because she couldn't like figure out how to work it on the internet. And I had looked online, and I said, I think because I think Red Balloon had just like posted something about Grandpa Grumps, so I knew they had it in stock. And so I said, I think I know they have some. And I looked on their website, and they were taking phone orders. So I said, just give them a call, see if they will. And she let me know. She was like, oh my gosh, they're not even in the store right now, but they're getting it to me, and they're mailing it out tomorrow so that I can get it by the weekend for my daughter's my granddaughter's birthday. It was just really cute. It was great customer service. Awesome. So.
Yeah. All right. So the children's bookstore and
Children's Book World, yeah, and then
Book World, yeah, Book World, yeah. Because there are 2 children's book worlds. There's also one in LA, but there's one in the Haverford one in Pennsylvania.
Right.
So, all right. Oh, this is good. How many languages do you speak?
I speak 1 fully, and maybe A little. I can survive speaking Cantonese,
Really?
and Spanish as well. Yeah, but I can hear, like, actually, if people speak Spanish to me and people speak Cantonese to me, I can understand everything, but I can say some things back.
Gotcha. All right. That's pretty cool. I can't do either of those. I mean, I got English and that's about it. So,
Well, I
well
grew
done.
up
Well done.
listening Cantonese, and then I just didn't practice my Cantonese as much, unfortunately, so I lost that. And then I learned Spanish in school, and so I've retained some of that as well.
Well, that's good. I learned Spanish in school too, but I didn't retain much at all. So, all right, let's see. Are narwhals real?
Of course.
Are you
They
sure?
are.
You've seen one? Okay. Are they real?
Yes.
Okay.
No, they are. There
Okay.
are. There have been photographs of them everywhere.
Yeah, my daughter said they recently recorded them for the first time. I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw like a video. Someone took.
Like they
like
recorded the sound, I mean, or something of them recently. She said. Yeah, I don't know, but they are real. Okay, because I feel like I've seen it in Elf. They have like a claymation one, and I don't know. Okay, I'll believe you. I've just only seen fictional ones, so I wasn't sure. You're a teacher. I trust you. All right, last question. What is one show that your kids watch on TV or watched that you secretly or not so secretly loved to watch yourself?
Oh, let's see. They're really into Ladybug. I think it's called The Miraculous Ladybug. And I think it was it was originally a French show and was translated. Or is now, but it's on Netflix, but they love it. And they're, she and my daughter is Ladybug and my son is Cat Navarre. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. That's how he says it.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about though. I feel like I've seen comics.
They love
like
it.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you love it too? This is one that you also love?
I've seen clips of it and it's pretty good.
I want to show that you love, that you like. So when my kids were little, they watched Charlie and Lola, which was like super adorable. It's based on books by Lauren Child. And it was on Disney, and we have like all the DVDs, which I think maybe we just gave away, but because we don't watch DVDs very much anymore. But Charlie and Lola was so cool. It was so adorable, and like we love to watch it, even if our kids didn't want to. So I just didn't know if there was like a show. There's a show that you love, and you maybe even wish your kids loved it more, but they just don't. Or maybe, who knows? Is there some show that you really enjoyed?
So not show, but movie. Frozen. Okay. I love Frozen, and I was maybe more excited to see Frozen 2 than they were. But, yeah.
I just watched that for the first time. It was pretty good. I liked it. Frozen 2.
Yeah.
Not bad. Yeah. I was not a huge Frozen fan, but that's because somebody told me something about the writing of it and how like they rewrote the whole thing because they had a good song for Idina Menzel, and originally she was actually supposed to be the villain, and so like the plot doesn't really make sense, and I've always thought it always confused me about that. But like apparently that she was going to be the villain, but Let It Go was such a good song that they rewrote the whole story and made them friends, sisters, whatever, happy ending for them, and somebody else became the villain instead. But that just might be a rumor. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, that's why I love it so much, I think, is because of this, how the sisterly love is what saved the day in the end. I thought that was a nice,
Yeah, that's what's so great about the movie, for sure.
Yeah, so I love that.
Yeah, that's what makes it different. Cool. Well, thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit, and I'm going to eventually post this to YouTube, and if you want to watch some of the old episodes, they're there too. If they're not
I watched
on Instagram
them; they were
also.
great.
And
I saw that Jess's didn't work, and I was like, oh my god, if Josh's doesn't work, I'm not gonna know how to do it.
Well, yeah, it's she had a problem with her phone's camera, so that was why I had to join hers, because when she tried to join mine, the camera need it to be clicked. Whatever, it's not that interesting. But next week I will have these 3 guests. If you look over there, I will have, I believe, Anna Staniszewski on Monday, and Debbie Ridpath Owie on Tuesday, and Jamila Tompkins Bigelow on Thursday. So I hope to see you and hang out with me and some of my friends next week. And
Yeah,
did you have anything else to say or anything you wanted to plug?
No, that's it.
No. All right, cool, awesome. Yeah. Go buy both of Katrina's books. And are any up for pre-order? Is Teeny Houdini up for pre-order yet?
No, not yet. It's not till winter. Oh my God, what year is it? 2022. So.
Okay, so it's not out there. Yeah. All right, maybe it's on Goodreads and you can mark it to read. So we can do that. But all right, have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Katrina. Bye.